Hello there, and welcome to a new build guide for Age of Wonders 4. And this is the All the Dragons build. It combines the Dragon's Dawn and the Ways of War DLC together in some high culture madness that utilizes all the dragon tomes that are existing in the game, except for the necromantic ones. But, they're basically no own dragons, they're just resurrected dragons, but I'm digressing. So, we're going to go over the racial and cultural traits as per usual, and then over the tomes and the strategy. So I ran here a high culture because they were just such a good fit. We need to hunt the affinities quite hard, and that's one of the reasons why I went with a high culture. I went here with prolific swarmers and ritual cannibals, a wild combination that is not so high culture fitting at the first glance, but it's really good. For one, it reduces the cost of all your other troops by a lot, and non-magic origin units requiring less unit upkeep is a funny thing, because the Tome of dragons happen to be not magic origin units, so you gain really a lot of mileage out of this one. And the other wonderful thing is it reduces the growth cost for your cities, and it combines wonderful with ritual cannibals offering you more food and mana per killed unit, and your units are obnoxiously hard to kill due to the corpse eating trait. I went for this combination really also because of the affinity. So you really need to check with the affinities whether they'll check out or not if you want to change that. But believe me, it is a powerful combination, and I was really pleasantly surprised on how fast my cities were growing and how much mana I got. I mean, look at this. It's pretty nifty, isn't it? So, with the other traits, I went for the graceful judge mounts, which are basically Kirin-like horses, which give you the touch of grace ability. This gives you a on-demand heal. They can do this as a touch skill once per battle. You get this on your shields and later on your tier 3 cultural battle mages, and it is quite good, honestly. You could swap that, but since your backbone of your troops will be dragons and other things, they don't inherit these traits. So I picked up something for the backline, and I enjoyed this so far. And quick reflexes, yeah, harder to kill backliners, end of the line. That's all what I had in mind with these. Okay, tones. This is where this build goes in an entirely different direction as compared to my other dragon builds. Yes, we started out with the Tome of Evolution, because that's just one must-have for me personally on a dragon build. It gives us Wyvern fledglings. We can fill up our ranks with these early on, and they evolve eventually into tier 3 Wyverns. Pretty good stuff. Combined with youthful rejuvenation, they gain resurgence, which means they will just be revived if you win the battle, which is amazing. It allows you to use these as kamikaze units. All you need to do is smack youthful rejuvenation on them beforehand. Extremely good. Combined with rapid evolution enchantment, which gives your enchanted evolving units more experience from combat, which is a must-have for other dragons. It also gives them a slip away for the lower tier units, which makes your Wyverns really hard to kill. Draconic Vitality, I like that. I mean, it's more HP for everybody. What's not to like about that? The Slither Hatchlings, you can skip them. We don't really have any bigger synergy with animal type units, so this is not really what you want to have. The other tier 1 tome, here things get interesting. This build is extremely versatile. I opted for Faith Tome because I personally think that there's a bigger synergy with that, but the Tome of Zeal would be a good fit as well. We picked this here again for the affinities in the bigger picture. So, but the synergy is there. Staves of Mending makes your supporters so much better than they already are because they get a touch heal. And chaplains give you another option to also boost your troopers. I mean, Bless is really one strong ability. Healing Prayer is a negative status stripper. So these guys mix in very well with your Sun Priests, my personal opinion. Faithful Whispers is really amazing as we have free city access with that one, and we are utilizing this even more in the tier 2 sector. Army Heal, well, I think it's too costly for what it does, but whatever. Wrath of the Faithful, it's okay. We have that Tome of Beacon later, which also synergizes well with that, and Convent. High Culture is really good at keeping cities stable, so you get big payoff out of that. It's really, really good mid-late game building. The Abbey allows you to crank out a lot of knowledge out of farms. I like that because it upgrades any plains type city by a lot. It's a powerful building, don't underestimate it. The Tier 2 sector comes, and I went for Mayhem Burst. Here you have again the option to go into Revelry, as this would give you also Chaos Affinity that you need, and the ability to level your units faster. Here again, I felt like this is the bigger payoff though. Mark of Misfortune is amazing for your entire backline. Mind you that your Wyverns also have a tendency to evolve into skirmishes, so you double dip into the value of this. Debuffing enemies is always an amazing thing, and there's never anything bad about that. Inside Revolution, I love this because we have Empire skills that work around infestations, and it's also a really fun little thing to play around. The Gremlins are, well, good things to fill up your ranks, but they don't really have a big synergy with this build per se, but they are good. Really, really good units. And so Confusion and Curse of Misfortune, well, they do what they do. Namely, debuffing the enemy, but you're most of the time busy doing other things. That's why I don't, that's why I only gloss over them here. Tome of the Beacon is the other tier 2 tome that I vouch for with this build. It has so many angles to benefit from. Mighty Meek gives your low tier troopers not only more meat on the bone, it makes them also faithful. The unit upkeep of this armies is really ridiculously low. You can reduce the upkeep costs extremely with this build. It also gives them quite the punch against higher tier units, which is altogether, remember, your Wyvern fledglings are kamikaze units. You don't care if they die. It's a pretty nifty synergy. We also have Covenant of the Faith, which gives your vassals a mana generation, which is really cool, and your hired troops are faithful when you use the Rally of the Lieges, which you should. It's amazing. Lightbringers are a tier 2 battle mage filler that can be used when you don't have access to your cultural tier 3 battle mages like you want to. Their convert skills, those are pretty cool, don't underestimate it. But overall, they, it is just something to fill up the ranks if necessary. But the cool thing is you have a lot of summoning spells that you can use on the fly. It's really good. And yeah, Blessed Reinforcements is a giant middle finger to stop the enemy from plundering your allied cities, as it is really cheap. The Blessed Souls are tier 3 fighters, and you only pay 45 mana, just saying. Tier 3 comes, and of course we are picking up the Tome of Dragons first. First off, your dragons are the new evolving troops that you want to have in all of your armies, as many as you can probably afford. You have to pay attention to the fact that they turn into tier 5 units eventually, but the real crazy thing here is that the Tome of Evolution's Youthful Rejuvenation, the Resurgence is applied as long as the unit has evolved. So from here on out, you can use these guys as your kamikaze units as long as you have buffed them up before. This is pretty nice. And they also eventually turn into pretty cool big dragons. But personally, they are much less awesome than the ones that we're playing later. But this tome also does more good things for you. Flamer Focus gives your battle mages another nuke, which is always a good thing. Purifying Flame is a AoE heal spell. I love these. Draconian Transformation makes your backliners even harder to kill. I mean, seriously, why not? Dragon Attack is a good siege project, except for the fact that it doesn't break walls. So a little bit torn on that one. And the Wyvern Eyrie. For one, it's a research post, and for another thing, it gives you access to the tier 3 Wyverns. Just mind you, they don't have resurgence anymore because they don't evolve anymore. But this build has 3 research posts that it can cram on every city, because the High Culture also happens to have a own research post building on their own. The other tier 3 tome, you are relatively flexible. My personal vote landed though on the Tome of a Cleansing Flame if you have it available. The affinity to burning stuff is amazing on that one. It gives you a really good tier 4 spear unit and buffs up your frontliners a little bit more. Overall, it's a pretty good thing. But in all honesty, it is up to you where you want to put your money on. The Tome of Sanctuary would be a good fit too, with even more survivability for your frontliners. I personally can't get enough of that. Sanctuary is a really good special province improvement, giving you a conduit and mana. Leave it up to you. The real deal comes in tier 4. With this build, sadly, pretty late though, but the Tome of Prosperity and the Tome of Calamity is where we actually were aiming for, because you have all the affinities together to do this the moment you have the Tome of Dragons unlocked. The last tier 3 tome is completely up to you, therefore, because you have 6 Order and 6 Chaos Affinity, which is exactly what you need for these. Tome of Prosperity gives you a amazing tier 5 dragon, which is able to give all your friendly units a grace stack every second turn and strips debuffs. On its own, it's also a pretty powerful fighter, and these things are crazy, seriously. I mean, wow. All the other effects here give your creatures a massive buff capability. You have more stability for your cities. The Shrine of Prosperity gives you access to an entirely new roster of troops, new supporter, new shield, new mythic unit. So this is one side of the deal. Staves of Grace also synergizes darn well into your support scheme. And the other tier 4, which we can do because we have the affinity to do so, is the Tome of Calamity, which gives you the Calamity Dragon. He's basically the evil twin of the Prosperity Dragon, which has access to extremely devastating AoE damage over time effects, and well, that thing is quite scary on itself. But the book also gives us a massive bonus on all of our ranged units via accursed projectiles, and mind you, it buffs just everything in your army, the mages and the supporters and the archers alike. So this tome really comes in quite nicely. Accursed Armors gives you a nice revenge ability when your frontliners get hit. Desecrate Land gives you a ruins interaction. You can ruin land and get more payoff out of it. The Accursed Shrine does give you a lot of payoff for every ruined province in your vicinity, so you can use that to haunt the enemy and then have a lot of payoff by conquering that ruined land, smacking an Accursed Shrine in it, and being the happy guy living in a desolated land. It's crazy and powerful. Comet of Calamity is a huge nuke. I mean, 2 hex radius with a freeze. It's crazy. And yeah, Ritual of Calamity gives you 5 fortification damage, more troopers on your side, and the Accursed Shrine also gives you again new troops, a shock unit, pole arm unit, and another battle mage. So this build has an insane evolution potential. The later the game goes, the stronger this goes. You aren't weak early on either, but you're really banking the moment you hit tier 3, and you can combine that evolution of the Dragon Tome to its full extent, in my humble opinion. So, let's move over to the roster and the strategy. The Dawn Defenders and the Dusk Hunters really only play a low tier role in your entire lineup. They both get replaced. The Dawn Defender's Touch of Grace ability though gives them quite an edge, and you can keep them for a while, but eventually both of these troops get obsolete. The Dusk Hunters are pretty good hitters once they are awakened, but apart from that, they're pretty crappy in all honesty. You will want to hire Sun Priests and Chaplains to heal your troops from the backline. The Sun Priests allow you to awaken your troops while your Wyverns are fighter types and don't have a special bonus for being awakened. They still get that +4 spirit damage, or is it +3 by now? I don't know. Whatever's the +3 it is. Whatever it might be, you can still buff those guys. They just don't get any dormant trait, but it helps them. Also, the Sun Priests have an amazing burst heal side with the chaplains. The chaplains are more specialized into buffing up the damage and debuff and getting rid of debuffs, whereas the Sun Priests are busy with the awakening work. Daylight Spears are, well, I wouldn't recommend them unless you have really nothing to do with your gold. The thing is, You don't need them. You have so much to replace them with. They are good units, don't get me wrong, but most of the time you will not rock them because there's just much more other things to do with your gold. And then comes the Awakeners. Awakeners are really, really powerful as they give you a 1 hex radius nuke, which is in itself already very powerful. They can awaken other people, and they also retain the touch of grace ability. Found that this was an amazing thing to have, as it gives you so much healing capabilities. You have Staves of Mending on your priests available. You have this Grace ability on your battle mages. It's free action, by the way. Don't forget about that. You don't need to do anything about that. So you have quite the nice backline damage out of that. Yes, they aren't too much buffed up by what they do in the first place, but the real big deal about your build is that you are awakening your troops on a very reliable basis, which makes them more powerful, and your troops are obnoxiously hard to kill. That's the other part where you're working with. Because the Wyvern fledglings, if they die, you don't care. You can bring up Lightbringers to give yourself some battle mages to fill up your armies, and overall, you are very, very interested in getting yourself some vassals. The Rally of Allegiance is a wonderful way of just getting things into your army. Look at this, I can't even get a Frost Dragon into my ranks even long before I have the Book of Dragons unlocked. This is why playing around vassals can be insanely powerful. And this build does that as well. This is, by the way, why you are pretty well off during the early game. You make friends, you explore, and you go hardcore into research. That's the next point that I want to stress out. This build, try to expand as quick as possible and get into that knowledge production. Your entire success on this build hinges upon the question how quickly you can develop your technological advantage. Because at the end of the day, the faster you get to these dragon books, the faster you will waltz down the enemy. Hero-wise, I went for my starting hero with a champion hero, and I wouldn't recommend anything else. Don't go for a dragon hero, as they don't get the experienced leader trait. The experienced leader trait is something that I have packed on all of my heroes. It passively levels them up, whatever you have in your ranks, I mean. This gives you a sweet access to the evolution gameplay, and what I personally also liked was the fact that the logistics training was right behind that. The hero's main class that I chose was a warrior class. I would always stick to this choice again because you will lack a frontline troop with a significant oomph for a while. You don't get that until you have basically tier 3 unlocked, so a hero as a warrior class can fulfill that bursty blitz damage where you need it. You can of course also hire yourself some Rally of Allegiance things, or conquer a different city and fulfill your stuff there, but until your wyverns are tier 3 units, you aren't hitting too hard, and that's why I love the warrior approach. The other heroes that I went for, well, honorable mentions definitely go here again to the defender class. You can outlast your enemy with this build quite decently well too, because you have Tome of Faith and so much healing in your backhand. And of course, the Ritualist also deserves a honorable mention, as summoning stuff is always a way to go to get yourself stronger, and they also can support like hell via Restore or Wild Growth even, or Zombies. There's such a wide magnitude of good things that these guys can do for you. So overall, your biggest disadvantage is your slowness, which is really in your technological development. The nifty thing here is that this build works as hard as it can against that. You have access to a lot of knowledge spreading buildings. You also have access to a pretty strong economy. The fun part for me personally was that my cities keep growing and growing and growing while I'm killing stuff due to the ritual cannibals trait. Your cities also grow cheaper due to that. So my personal recommendation for this build is abbeys pay off when you do better planning than I do here in wide plains areas where you can really crank out a lot of knowledge out of these. So altogether, your build facilitates a strong economy, but you really need to work on that research. Otherwise, you can be blitzed down quite easily. By the way, if you're planning to play this on PvP, I really gotta say you got to work on that knowledge. On that knowledge income. I don't know how well it would work against other people. I would dare say it's one of the on one of the weaker early game builds against the AI. It's been playtested on hard difficulty here. It worked a charm though, as being able to heal up and sustain through is something that works pretty well for me. The most important part here is to play around your healing spells, and I can't stress it out enough. Use that resurgence effect on your youthful rejuvenation a lot. Give your enemy any opportunity to burst down units that come back for free after the battle anyways for you. This is really something that worked out quite darned well for me. Also, in the Imperium tab, you can go for impressment. That is also a very powerful trait in my humble opinion, as it gives you again access to tier 3 units much faster. We are pretty high on Chaos and Order affinity, which makes quite a fun combination, because it means we can do a lot around infestations. We make friends via killing infestations. We get, if we want, 2 units if we kill infestations. You can get a lot of profit out of killing stuff with this build as well, which is really good too. You can pillage well, and last but not least, you can get a lot of payoff out of your vassalizations, which synergizes so well with your order tones. So altogether, it is my best dragon build that I did so far. It still has that problem of being slow early on, which they all do, but it mitigates it with so many layers of safety via being good at with the free cities and having lots of sustain, having access to throwaway units that you can't just spam and spam and spam. But as a last word of advice, you not only need knowledge, you also need mana. Lots of mana. These are the 2 things that really make this build quite hungry, so work hard on that strong economy. There's one more thing. With the new governor system, the shepherd trade comes in as not so good as it looks like. Yes, you get that evolution bonus, but the major ambition is really hard to play through with this build. I thought it would be a great idea, but it wasn't, so don't fall for the same mistake that I did. So my friends, that's that. That's the All the Dragons build. I am quite convinced that this is something that's worth trying around. It gets more fun the longer a game lasts. You scale really well into the late game, as the Calamity and the Prosperity Tome are, I think, right now, not balanced. Not balanced at all. They feel more like tier 5 tomes, but that's okay. You know, it's pretty... We have to do quite a lot of preparation to get there, so I think it is okay. But these tomes, they don't feel okay, in my humble opinion at least. So, thanks for watching. Drop me your comments, leave me a like, leave me a subscribe. Consider checking out the description box. A big thanks to all of the supporters of Icon Gaming. Thanks for being around. You guys are truly awesome. And of course, a big thanks to you for watching this video until the very end. Thanks for being around, and I hope you enjoyed. See you soon.